Hey, how's it going? Vladimir Donis here. So today I wanted to jump online to talk about generating 100 plus leads in a week and how it's done, and specifically how I have done it. Pound live if you happen to be catching this video live. Let me know where you're tuning in from. Pound replay if you're catching the replay. Let me know where you are tuning in from. By the way, if you want a deeper dive, you like to take advantage of a free marketing optimization call whereby we take a look at your marketing process and we identify the one thing that you should be doing to generate more leads and to get more clients. You can take advantage of that free marketing optimization call by going to VladimirAdonis.com. All right, so generating 100 leads and generating those 100 leads organically, because I know sometimes one of the easiest ways to generate 100 leads in a week is by running paid ads. But depending on your situation, depending on where you are at, you may not be ready for paid ads, or there could be other reasons why you're not running paid ads. So I'm going to tell you what I've done to make that happen from an organic standpoint. It's all about the concept of basically putting forward an effort. And so here's what I mean. I'm going to go ahead and give you an analogy, and then I'll go ahead and tie the point and bring home the point. Higher education. Higher education is my background. I've worked in the financial aid industry, and I've worked in the industry of helping students to receive federal financial aid for the sole purpose of trying to secure funding to go to school. If you've listened to any of my content, right, you probably heard me talk about that, about that quite a few times. So essentially, what I noticed is that for students who are coming right out of high school, based on their criteria and based on criteria that is set by the Department of Education, the majority of them requires the cooperation and requires the information of their parents in order to have a completed financial aid application. The financial aid application is done through the Department of Education, and then the Department of Education then determines what the student is eligible for, right, provided they have a full and complete financial aid application. But for many different reasons, sometimes the parent just doesn't comply. It could be that the parent and the child, they're having some friction, and they may not necessarily be in agreement. And if they're not in agreement, and if the parent and the student is not in agreement, and the student doesn't have the full cooperation of the parent, there are times where the student just cannot receive federal financial aid. What I've noticed that in my time is that there's different types of students. So there's one type of student that would say, hey, you know what, my parent is not willing to support me. I can't afford to pay to go to school on my own, so I'm just going to, not pursue this whole higher education dream and or the whole higher education concept. However, there's a different type of student that would go to the financial aid office, and when they go to the financial aid office, they would explain their situation to a financial aid person, and then the financial aid person, perhaps, right, it depends on the financial aid person, may say, hey, in order for you to receive federal financial aid, you need to include your parents' information. So then let's just say the student goes and the student speaks to financial aid to John, and that's what John tells this person. Then a couple of days later, that same student comes back and that student speaks to, Keisha, and Keisha tells them the exact same information. And then a week later, they come back and they say, hey, this is my third time, coming here. I'm trying, I really want to go to school, but I don't have the cooperation of my parents, and this is why I don't have the cooperation of my parents. Well, as someone, based on my background, who have had the opportunity to lead many different financial aid offices, if someone like that comes to my attention, and if I'm in a position to be able to grant that person a scholarship to help them, guess what I'm going to do if it's within my power? Because sometimes, depending on many different variables, they may not necessarily be in my power. But if it is indeed in my power, guess what I'm going to do for that person? I'm going to find a way to see if I can help to reduce that person's cost by granting them a scholarship. And why would I do that? And the reason why would I do that? The reason why I would do that is because that person is putting forth an effort. I'm not going to go after the person that basically, from the time they found out that their parents were not willing to help them, they didn't necessarily make the application to the school. So by not even making the application to the school, myself and or my staff, we wouldn't even know who those individuals are. However, the person that makes the application to the school, the person that goes to the school's financial aid office to try and see what options are available, that person may stand a chance of receiving some type of a scholarship and may stand a chance of receiving some type of help. Right? So then the next question you may be asking, okay, what does this have to do with me? Right? I'm telling you my own personal story of me generating 100 leads, and I wanted to tell you that story to be able to drive home the point. Basically, the point is you need to be making, an effort. So let's tie this to me generating 100 leads. I publish content. I publish content sometimes on a very consistent basis. I've done 30-day challenges where 30 days in a row I would publish pieces of content. I've done 60-day challenges, as well. I have content on my podcast. Depending on when you are listening to this, I may have over 75 or 80 or maybe even 100 solo podcast episodes that I've done on my own, and that content is available on my podcast, and that content is available on other platforms as well. Well, guess what happens when someone sees that? Let's just say someone who owns a group, and that group has thousands of people. Someone who has a podcast, and that podcast get hundreds or thousands of downloads. Well, there are cases where people need to bring in other experts and other people into their community to be able to provide value. So then what do? They seek out someone like myself because they've had the opportunity to see my content, whether it be video content or they've had the opportunity to listen to my podcast. And they say, you know what, Vladimir, I've listened to some of your podcasts and I can see that you have, 80 different podcast episodes. So, you are putting forth an effort. And for that reason, I would like to invite you to my community because I feel as though my community can benefit from, say, some of your content. So that's precisely, what has happened to me on more than one occasion. And on some of those occasions, when I go inside of such community and I provide content inside of such community, I can easily generate hundreds of leads in a week time. Now, I didn't necessarily have to pay ads or pay Facebook for that lead, but I still had to put forth some type of an action. And by me putting forth that action, it gave me the ability to be known and to be seen by people who have the power and or the ability to allow me to be in front of their audience and thereby giving me an opportunity. So essentially, right, the point that I want to drive home to you is put forth the effort, because when you put forth the effort, people are going to see, and when you put forth the effort, it's going to open up opportunities for you that perhaps you may not have right now. Pound live if you happen to be catching this video live. Let me know where you're tuning in from. Pound replay if you happen to be catching me via the replay. Let me know where you're tuning in from. That's all I have for you for now. I'll talk to you soon.